Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I'm so excited to have on a 38-year-old from Elmira, Ontario, a two-time Cherry Cup champion, a Sutherland Cup champion. He's also accepted a golf scholarship. He was a walk-on to captain and ECAC best defensive forward with the St. Lawrence Skating Saints. And he's a veteran of 160 AHL games. And rumor has it, he may or may not have the course record at the Elmira Golf Club. Welcome to the podcast, Kyle Rank.
Yeah, thanks, Wally. I love the intro, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for making the time for me, buddy. It's been a while. It's always good to catch up.
Yeah, I think last time we saw each other, it was on top of the toboggan hill at the golf course.
That's right. May or may not have been in a lockdown, so I may or may not have been there for
exactly. That's all good.
Christmas, right? But yeah, no, that was a nice toboggan hill, and yeah, no, it was great to see again. We've spent a lot of time out on that hill in the winters and the summers, eh?
Yes, it's been, I mean, obviously now with kids, it's pretty fun. It brings back a little bit of the childhood memories of tobogganing and stuff like that. But things you never thought you would do as you get older, but tobogganing still seems to be atop of the list for the winter activities.
Yeah, and that's at the Elmira Golf Club, which we spent this. So I get into how we know each other, which we have a sponsor today, Kyle, and it's actually where we've spent a lot of our lives. And you've spent way more than me, but the Elmira Golf Club. And we spent a lot of time out there, didn't we?
Yeah, we started out there as the little gaffers just ripping around playing golf, and then we both started working out there and continued to play. And
yeah, you were one of the front office prima donnas. I was one of the greasy grounds crew guys.
Yeah, I always liked working inside, so it worked out well. Gelled hair, collared shirts, khaki pants.
Free golf after the few hours, and then us guys slugging away at 6 a.m. Raking bunkers. We're too tired to golf after work.
That's right.
But yeah, speaking of that, we have a sponsor, and that is the Elmira Golf Club, and they just came up with, I guess, 16 new tee decks. Have you seen those yet?
Yeah, they just put them into play last weekend, I think. So I've been out there twice since the new tees are in play. It's pretty cool, man. Honestly, for like young kids starting the game, people that don't hit the ball as far. It's been a pretty nice addition. The course obviously was. It's a great course always, but it was getting like a little bit disproportionate. Like the blue tees separated from the red tees, just there wasn't that much distance.
There wasn't a big enough change.
Yeah. So to add these new forward tees for either people that are getting older, or new people just starting, or for people who literally just maybe want to play a shorter course and score a little bit better, it's been pretty cool. So it's kind of one of the nice things that's happened during the pandemic is like the course was empty. So I think this company had basically like 2 or 3 weeks with no golfers in their way. They could just have at her, and they did an awesome job.
Oh, that is awesome. And they still have the black tees where if you want a challenge, like there's some black tees that like I don't want any part of.
Yeah, there's a couple holes, like the big tee on 4 is a beast.
Yeah, I've never played from there.
And then on 5 on the other side of the pond, it makes it a true par 5.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have the body. I can't get around on the ball as like I used to. So I'm more of I guess they used to be blues are a stretch, but I kind of like the whites,
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing, right? If you play good, like if you play good and shoot a good score, you want to have a good score, right? So I mean, it's kind of nice that people can just play wherever, and I mean, people are going to come back and play more if they shoot better. So
yeah, and it is with one of the nicest courses around. So anyways, we were junior golfers, worked there. Obviously, that's where we spent a lot of our weekends too in our 20s. Yeah, spent a lot of time out there. So that's one way we know each other. But I guess we probably met in like Tykes Minor Novice, in Elmira, Ontario.
So when this whole like Sugar King thing started with the like chatting online and stuff, I dove into like some pretty sweet picture books that my mom created for me. And I believe I I was on the red team. I don't even know. I think we might have been called like the Hockey Mothers. And I have a pretty sweet picture of Ronald Walton in like a nice gray leather jacket.
Oh yeah, he could wear the leathers. Yeah.
Yeah. My old man was rocking a dirty duster. And
Oh yeah, he always had one.
yeah. So I think they were the two coaches. Maybe Bruce Shantz was a coach too, I think.
And maybe Earl Boyer probably got mixed in there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do remember that. And then I think because you're in 82, I'm in 83, we're both from Elmira. And I'm pretty sure I made the minor novice team to play play up with your age group. So like that would have been the first year like we were teammates, would have been like novice, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that was like the rep team the first year. And like I said, I can't remember much from back then or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I got no clue.
I do have a couple videos. Like VHS style, and I have no idea where they are, but I have seen them, and I'm not sure what year they're from, but they're from like the early days. Like it was pretty grainy and whatever, but it was pretty funny to watch.
I just like to see the outfits of our parents in the crowd, really.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the other way we know each other at the start here, I'm gonna go chronologically, really, is road hockey with Chauncey. My next door neighbor was your age, also a hockey guy, and we played a lot of road hockey, right?
Yeah, that was a big activity back in the day. I mean, we used to just meet up, church parking lots, wherever, someone's driveway, someone's road. And that was kind of how you passed Saturdays or Sundays or, after school. So yeah, it was, like I said, usually some pretty good battles, but yeah, always road hockey's was always top of the list.
And we were always I remember us all being so competitive that like we get together for a game and then whoever lost would be so pissed off that you'd either play the next day or they'd be so pissed off you don't play for like a week. But then the other part was your old man used to make a skating rink at the fire department, did he not? And we would skate there. That was by your house growing up, right?
Yeah. So we had the rink in the backyard, and then the guys at the fire hall used to make I mean, it was pretty much like regular size. Like I think the guys from Olympia, they used to bring over the arena, like bring over the from our surf ice, bring over the like legit Olympia and flood the ice for us.
Yeah, it was like it was a huge rink. I remember skating over there. Okay, so then I had golfing, and then Sapfest parties. We had a couple at your parents' place. One, I believe my brother-in-law broke his nose on the trampoline. And, that was back before there was the protection on the trampoline like there is now for the kids, eh?
Yeah. I think the night when Scoop broke his nose, wasn't that after that ball tournament in St. Clements?
The one pitch tournament we used to play in?
Yeah, I think in the one pitch tournament.
Oh dear. Well, I know he shouldn't have been on a trampoline, and
yes,
he was trying to do a flip and he over rotated, right?
Yeah.
It was a classic case of over rotation.
Yeah, the Russian judge probably didn't score it too well, but effort was there. Full marks for effort.
Yeah, he really I can't believe they didn't have the nets on the trampolines like back in the day like they do now, because he went face first into the post, right? Or the
it was straight metal bar that like supports the trampoline, and like 200 pounds just right on his nose.
Yeah, full rotation, face plant. He I talked to him about it at the cottage this week, and we were talking about memories or that was today, and he said he was just pissed off he never got to go downtown after and everybody else did. He had a broken nose. Warrior. Okay, then the other thing is your old man was like the mayor of Elmira. He knew everybody, always had a smile on his face, and I guess you lost him there a while ago now, but he used to do a thing so everybody could play hockey, right?
Yep.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So he it wasn't too like official back when him and Bob Waters started it. Basically they would help kids financially or with equipment, just basically because my dad knew everybody in town. So he knew if your kid was looking for a size 3 skate, he probably knew someone that had a size 3 skate. So he'd kind of,
set it up.
Yeah, this is before.
This was before the Facebook spit and swap.
Yeah, this is no Facebook, no cell phones. This is like you got to drive to someone's house.
Hazy Sunset, New England IPA.
There you go. Yeah, so he basically, he thought hockey was, the greatest sport in the world. So he wanted every kid to experience that. And like I said, he helped out a lot of kids. And like I said, we've been able to carry that on. We got a charity now called Friends of Hockey. So we help, roughly probably a dozen kids every year financially, and then probably 25 to 30 kids with equipment every year. So it's been great.
So you're still carrying on the tradition, eh? Good for you.
Yeah. So it's been nice. The arena there let us put up a cage, so we have tons of equipment all locked up. So yeah, if we have someone contact, we have a website. Someone contacts us, we meet them down there, size them, and like I said, we've been fortunate enough to have some really good donations. People, if they don't have old equipment, they'll give us money. We've bought like new equipment for kids and stuff like that. So it's been great to help the kids out.
So what is it called? So we're asking the folks here on air, donate some equipment to, what's it called?
Yeah, Friends of Hockey.
Friends of Hockey in Elmira, Ontario. You'll get Ranker here. Good job, buddy. That's great. You're doing that. Other thing is how we know each other. One memory I have is when Canada won the Olympics. I was at your house in hockey, 2002.
Yeah. I think we broke my parents' couch because we had about 12 guys piled on the couch. But yeah, I think that might have been before like a Sugar King game or something. I think my mom whipped up some lasagna or something pregame. We were all there watching the game in the afternoon. And yeah, I think one of the couch legs maybe had to get probably rebolted or crazy glued or something, but all in good fun.
Yeah, we were right at the age there where that was a pretty big deal, eh? Like 17 years old watching the gold medal of the Olympics. We were about as into a hockey game as you could get.
Yeah, those were like some really cool times, man. It's crazy to think about how long ago that was now. But those days, man, were pretty wicked. Like we didn't really have a worry in the world. All we were doing was playing junior hockey, and basically all we did was think hockey all the time. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, our years. Well, you thought about golf quite a bit because you got pretty good at that, which we'll get into. But I guess the only other thing how we know each other is then, so we grew up in Elmira together. We both make junior B. So we both play for the Sugar Kings, and we both end up with scholarships and playing in the States. And so now, random questions here before we get into your career. You have any caddying experience in golf?
Yeah, I got a pretty good little experience with my brother. I got to caddy for him at the Canadian Open.
For the listeners, folks, that's Garrett Rank.
Yeah, I'm the only caddy that he said that has made the cut, so I'll claim that.
And what tournament was this at?
The Canadian Open. And then probably one of the coolest things I've ever got to do in my life, I got to caddy for him at the US Open the year he qualified for the US Open. So that was nice.
Where was that?
That was out Shinnecock. So that was on like out in the Hamptons on like Long Island, New York.
So what do you do as the caddy? Were you out there like checking things out like the movies I watch or whatever?
Yeah, so we during the practice round, we played 3 practice rounds. So we got out there. It was all like, to start right from the start, it was pretty chaotic. So he went to qualified, and you basically have 2 weeks to plan everything. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Long Island, New York, like out in the Hamptons. It's pretty hoity-toity and expensive. And I mean, it was hard to even find accommodation. So luckily I
would not fit in there. So no, I've never been there. No.
Yeah, it wasn't up our alley either, Wally.
Yeah.
But so we luckily had a contact and we got a house. So we rented a house and the guy ended up just giving us the house to use for the week, which was really awesome. And we made a really nice trip out of it. But for the caddying, the most nervous I've ever been on a golf course, and I wasn't even playing. During the practice rounds, we had a local caddy. So I basically was picking his brain of, kind of where to miss, what kind of each hole sets up. And but like I said, it was a super cool experience to be able to share that with my brother. Obviously one of the biggest golf tournaments in the world, and to be on the bag, like we have some really cool pictures, a bunch of people. I think we had probably like 25-30 people come down, like just random, like, hey, I don't know where I'm staying, I'm just flying in, I want to be there. So a really cool experience, and yeah, it was awesome just to be a part of it. So
Well, and it makes sense he picks you because of the relationship you guys would have, and you'd talk it out. You're both high end golfers. Um, like, and that's another random question because it was part of the intro. Maybe the truth will come out during this podcast. What's the course record in Elmira?
the amateur course record is 62. And I shot it first, so I'm taking claim of it. But my brother has tied it. But yeah, usually they don't put a new scorecard up unless you beat it. So my scorecard is still on the wall.
Oh, it is yours. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a competitive thing. So Robbie Collins, who was last episode, and folks, the internet was not my fault. Shout out to Hurontel. They fessed up. It was their fault. But anyways, not my fault. I'm hardwired in and I'm back in the shed. I'm back in the honey hole, folks. Geez, I got wound up. Where are we?
Talking about Robbie Collins.
Yeah, he shot a 66 twice.
Yeah. I've played.
What's wrong with you people? I can't break. I don't even know what I can shoot anymore. I'm more of a scramble guy.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think as we get older, we maybe don't swing as hard, or I don't know. We're not as rambunctious out there. So maybe we're settling into a little bit of a mold here. And
are you fit?
I try to. I mean, my job requires me to stay in.
We'll get into that, but I guess that helps. You get paid to work out, and I'm not getting paid to work out. Actually,
yeah.
I'm at a computer, so maybe that's why I'm not getting around on the ball as well, Kyle. Maybe that's why I'm not in the 60s, right?
Yeah, hey, I try. I honestly, my working out in the summer consists of like walking the golf course. I figure if I walk the golf course, I'm burning some calories, and then you can crush some beers on the weekends and evenings. So,
okay. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool that you and your brother have the same score for the course record. That's pretty wild, actually. Okay, moving on then is how much do you golf now?
I've been pretty lucky, Wally. I'm gonna say I probably play 3 to 4 times a week.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, I do.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
So obviously with my job, it allows me some shift work time off, and I play early. I'm an early morning guy. I'll be like 7 a.m. on the blocks. And then usually, like I said, I played with Rob a few times, played with some other guys. Usually we're done by like 10 o'clock. So it's kind of the only way. So then
nobody's upset you're not gone all day.
Yeah, so that's the only way I can kind of justify is it. If I'm gone for 6 hours in the afternoon, that's not going to fly. But 3 hours in the morning isn't too bad. And then my oldest, McKenzie, she's 10. She just started like liking golf a little bit. So I take her out in the evenings. We'll do like the driving range, or we've played 9 holes, maybe, a dozen times this year. So it's been fun getting her into the sport. It gets me out there even more.
I've actually loved getting my kids into it. Colby's right into it. He loves it. Zoe loves to come with us and ride in the cart, and she always gets up out of the cart the first hole, first tee off, gives her a swing, and then doesn't get back out of the cart the rest of the round. But she always wants to come, and that's great.
Yeah.
But the other thing is speaking of our kids getting into golf and how fun it is, then we get to, we're out in nature, out in the nice grass. At the Elmira Golf Club on Sundays is family day, and after 4:30 is, if an adult pays, you get a free round for a kid, 16 and under, folks. That's all the way up to 16 years old. And if you pay for a bucket of balls, the 16 and under also gets a bucket of balls. So get out there and get your kids into golf, because then you'll get to golf more, right, Ranker?
It's honestly, man, it's been awesome. Like, I'll give full credit. I'll give a little plug to Logie here, because Jeremy Logal, the director of golf at the golf course, he's done an unbelievable job at basically finding a membership that fits everyone's lifestyle or price point or amount of golf they want to play. And like I said, the deals on Sunday out there are awesome, just to kind of get kids involved and there's tons of us now that still live in town that are starting to have kids at that, basically between 8 and 12 sort of age group. And there's tons of kids out there playing. It's awesome to see because, obviously when we started, we were all out there running around, and I mean, you learn some rules. I mean, I remember that was kind of my parents' rules. If you screw up and get in shit out there, you're not gonna be allowed to go.
Well,
And I mean,
my old man said the golf course was the best babysitter he could pay for was paying for a junior membership,
yeah,
because the members keep you in line. You dress appropriately. You got to behave, or you're not allowed back, right?
yeah. I mean, like we biked out there every morning, and you'd play around, and then you'd have a basket of fries or whatever, and then usually there'd be guys that want to play again. So there was days you'd play 36 holes, and
Your
as
feet
long
would
as you were
hurt by
home in
the end, but
time,
then you do it again.
yeah, as long as you were home for dinner, like your parents really didn't question anything that was going on, and we were just out there hanging out with our buddies. We thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
It kind of was like,
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I remember my parents used to give me like a like a toonie, and that would buy you a basket of fries, and you would just crush like a basket of fries between rounds, and then you go back out.
yeah, another 18. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, wrong side. So now we're getting into your hockey career now. Okay, we've talked enough about golf, which it's gonna come up again. But
Yeah.
your minor hockey in Elmira, we talked about the Tykes, but then to the Sugar Kings, and you never did go AAA.
No, you know what? I probably wouldn't have made it as far as I did in today's society. It's different the way it works now. I tried out for AAA, I think my major midget year or maybe minor midget year. And I made the team, and my dad found out the price tag, and it was like not happening.
Now you were
Like,
Waterloo, right? It was way more
yeah,
money than Guelph.
yeah. I went to Waterloo, and it was just like I had my brother was playing, my sister was playing. So yeah, just my dad was a big believer in like trying to be the best player on the team or one of the top players, and I was always that in Woolwich on the single A team. And like I said, it probably helped me develop a little bit of a player because I got to play in all those situations. But it's hard now with like having my own kids and trying to like, you don't want to make decisions too early for them or whatever, but it's crazy, man, the pressure that the kids are under and how you got to make these decisions. Like, we just played because it was fun. You know what I mean? We just were out there having fun. Our buddies all played on the team. And we were lucky. Like, you guys had a phenomenal minor hockey team, but we had a pretty good team. Like, we lost a few guys to AAA as we got older, but for minor hockey, like we had, myself, I played junior and then went on. Like Chris Osborne played in the OHL. Like Mike Radcliffe, Lee Snelling, Jeff Taylor, they all played AAA hockey then at like, I think Bantam and midget or whatever. So it was a pretty good, in minor hockey, it was everything that I needed. And like I said, we got lots of ice time in Elmira there with only having the 2 rinks, but yeah, I wouldn't change it. I mean, I loved my experience in town. And like I said, it got me to where I needed to go. But yeah, like I said, in today's society, it's like, I don't know. It's crazy. It makes me just like scratch my head sometimes.
It's interesting because like, you got your tryouts coming up, and then you get sent so many hockey schools, so many things are happening, and it's like, well, if he doesn't skate for the few weeks before his tryouts, like all these other kids are, and it's like, well, each one's like $150 a pop, and you're like, by the end of it, you're like, holy moly, like I, I'll pick one.
Yeah, honestly though, you have to, like, it's crazy. I mean, you never want your kid to like not have an opportunity to do something if that's what they really like to do, but there comes a point in time where you're just like, how much is too much, right? Like,
I got one here for you. I got to give a shout out to Concarded Minor Hockey, because this was big for me for, signing up. Zoe has decided, and this was on her own. I would never pressure her into it. She has decided this season she would like to give hockey a try. So,
nice.
she's going to be 6 turning 7, and it's I can't wait for her to get out there and give it a whirl. But she can get frustrated at things in life, and sometimes, and I don't know how it'll go because these other girls have played for a couple years. But Kincardine Minor Hockey, for your first year of hockey to give it a whirl, it was only like 100 and something bucks for the year because it was her first year. So right now, like it's like it's a win-win situation. Like she's gonna give it a whirl, and if she doesn't like it, it's not a big deal. Not too much
Yeah.
money.
No, like I said, I got two girls that play 10 and 7. Both are mine, and it's awesome, man. Girls hockey is so much fun. Like it's obviously it's still serious, it's competitive, but my God, the conversations you have on the bench, like they'll it's the middle of a game and they'll ask you like, "Hey, Coach Kyle, what did you eat for lunch today?" And you just are like, we're in the middle of a hockey game right now, and you're thinking about what the coach ate for lunch. Like, this is awesome. So,
no, I'm really looking forward to it. And I remember when it happened, she was watching like there was a girls hockey team on TV, and like you could see it was a full team of all girls, and I just watched her looking at it like, wow. And then I think she wants to be on a team, right? Like the other
yeah,
sports she's been in haven't been like a team. It was
yeah,
dance, gymnastics. It's not a team.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
A few years ago, we went back to St. Lawrence just for a little kind of reunion thing. And so my oldest, she would have been like 7 at the time, I think. And the girls hockey team was playing. And we sat down, we watched, and she like taps, she's like, "Dad, they have ponytails." I said, "Yeah, buddy, those are girls." She's like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." Like she was so pumped. Like it was because, we'll watch like minor hockey in town or we'll watch the Sugar Kings play, but she got to see like legit girls playing at a high level. Like there's music between the whistles, and she thought this was the greatest thing. So it was pretty cool to see her and share that experience with her. And like I said, it's probably hooked her a little bit on the sport. And just like I said, she loves it now. She's off and running and got a good little group of girls on her team. And so she's made some awesome friends. So.
And you're coaching that?
Yeah, I coach myself and like Kyle Grundy, Brian Fitzgerald, who played for the Dutchman against us, and then like Dan Baylog helps, and so yeah, it's been great. Like I said, we've
well, speaking of Dan Baylog, Mark Apparel, they're after making the hats, they're now making t-shirts. So thanks, Dan. He was my buddy from home, so I went through him, and yeah, we shirts should be here this week. Very limited amount again. So we'll have some for sale here soon. Anyways, okay, we got to keep going here. So when you're like haven't played AAA, you're in midget, you haven't even started playing junior B yet, I guess, and you've probably seen like me, I'm a year younger and I'm already playing, so you're probably frustrated and you're thinking you're not really going to go anywhere. So you end up getting a golf scholarship, and you basically chose golf over hockey, right?
Yeah, I was. I mean, that was my goal all along. I knew I was a decent hockey player, but like I said, I'd never played AAA. I had some success. Like I won, we had that Top Flight Junior Tour around our area in the summers. I won that 2 years in a row. So yeah, that was kind of my goal, was to go play golf. And yeah, I couldn't get down. Like I needed to get down to the States probably to play in some bigger junior events to get more like Division I offers for school.
Which basically is investing in yourself, because you would have had to pay a bunch of money to get to those tournaments, right?
Yes, super expensive. But yeah, so I got some Division III offers, just kind of by sending my golf resume out and stuff like that. And then yeah, I went
Olivet, Michigan.
Course. Yes.
I remember I was driving to Kalamazoo, and I got off the highway one time, and I was in Olivet. And I was like, "Holy shit, this is where Ranker went."
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a shitty looking school, buddy.
Dude, it was awful.
Oh,
I was there. I don't want to talk like too bad about it, but I mean, yeah, I was there for like a month. You can
just tell the truth, right? Just tell the truth.
Yeah, I was there for a month and a half. I think I won like, say we played 7 tournaments. I think I won like 2 of them, placed well in the other the other 5. And then it was just like golf was done. I remember this. It was like US Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, like, what do I do? Or maybe it was Canadian Thanksgiving because my parents were home. And I'm like, they're like, what do you do now? And I'm like, I don't know.
Just do school, and there was
I'm
nothing
like, I
there.
don't know,
Nothing there.
school. And like, yeah, there was nothing else there. And I just called home like the next day and I said, I'm done. I'm dropping out. And my dad, he's like, okay, I'll come pick you up tomorrow. Like, I don't know. They didn't really question it.
Well, did they come down there and see where?
Yeah. So we went down there for a visit like the summer before I went. And I mean, when you see a place in the summer with no students, you're like, oh, this looks nice. I mean, I don't know. And they take us to the golf courses, and the golf courses were like in Michigan are unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Like we played like 2 or 3 courses we could play whenever we wanted. The golf was awesome, but it was just like the schooling. I was like, it was kind of a joke. Like I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but it was super easy. And you only had like, I didn't realize this, but you only had like 12 hours a week.
Yep.
I'm like, what else do you do here? Right. So yeah, it was just kind of culture shock too, right? I was 18, living at, new country, no real friends.
But looking back on it, you'd still make the same decision. Woolen chop, brown ale.
Right? Yeah, it was the best decision of my life.
Exactly.
Best decision of my life to leave there. So
yeah, you don't need to second guess that one or say, oh well, no, yeah, you should have left.
Yeah.
So you came back, and I guess it's winter, right? And you just come right on to were you right on to the Sugar Kings then, right? Because
yeah, so
had you ever played for the Sugar Kings before?
Yeah, so I played it was the year so I played the 1 year. We won the Southern Cup, and then I left that next year.
You left after the Southern Cup after you shut down Nathan Horton?
Yes.
You're confusing me now. I thought it was you went before and then came back and did that. And my word.
No, so it was yes, we won the Sutherland Cup, came back, and then that was right. So I came home the weekend of 9/11 to get our rings, the on-ice ceremony.
Okay.
So, and that was right when 9/11 happened. And then I went back and it was just different, right? After everything went on there. And then I came home on, I think it must have been Canadian Thanksgiving. Got home Sunday at 6:00. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to watch the King game. So then show up at the rink, and then my dad had talked to Graham, and I'm like, hey, I'm home. So I signed a card that night.
Had you skated yet?
Hadn't skated since we won the Sutherland Cup, and showed up at practice Monday.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I was way off. I thought you hadn't played for the Sugar Kings. You went on your scholarship, came back, and then played.
No.
So we won the Sutherland Cup, and you leave, and that was I have written down that was when you started finding your role. That's finding your role as a hockey player was in that series when we put you on Nathan, or the coaches put you on Nathan Horton because we weren't stopping him just playing hockey.
Yeah.
And you shut him down, and we win the series. Somewhat shut him down, on 5-on-5, at least power play. There wasn't, he was still doing his thing, but you found your role as a shutdown centerman, and then you left for golf.
Yeah, I was I mean, it's weird the way it all worked out, but yeah, after probably the best year of my life, winning the Sutherland Cup, shadowing Nathan Horton, I was like, all right, I'm done. I got this golf scholarship.
I'm D3,
and like I said, I
baby.
mean, yeah, I don't know. You look back now and you're like, how do you make that decision or whatever? But it was an opportunity to go. That's what I wanted to do. Go play golf. I mean,
but the other thing was the way your hockey journey had gone to that point until that series, you had made your decisions and you were a golfer. You were going the golf route, right?
I was a fourth line hockey player on the junior B team until we played Nathan Horton.
As you're 18 years old already?
Yeah, 18 years old. That was my first year junior. And then, shadowed Nathan Horton. I think I played 25 minutes a game. All I did was chase him around.
After not playing much all year, right?
Yeah. And then, like I said, then left for golf. So.
And okay. So then you come back. Okay, now I know the timing of all this, which it's all off of what I thought. So then you come back. And that's what I'm having my big year. You join our team and we almost do it again.
Yeah. So I remember, so I think it was like that when I came home, I came into the room, like Graham said, well, you might as well come into the room or whatever. So I came into the room like that Sunday night or whatever, and Nathan looks at me, he's like, dude, we are going to win. And I'm like, dude, you guys were flying. Like, you guys might even not even have lost yet. Like, it was like maybe 15 games into the year or something. You guys were like 14-1 or something, or
Yeah,
maybe like 14-0-1. And I'm like, all right, we're rolling here. So yeah, honestly, man, I think I only practiced twice. Like, we used to practice Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think I played Friday then.
Oh, you would have for sure. You were young.
Yeah. So.
Well, so then you basically were playing the same role that year because it would have been you would have been the hi there. Who's over there? Hi. You
That's
gotta say
Charlotte.
hi. Huh?
Say hi, Charlotte. She's getting ready for bed.
Well, they couldn't see her waving, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell her good night.
So yeah.
Okay. So you would have played your role. This is your role. This is you're carving it out. You're learning it.
Yeah.
I know because Machen would have been the second line center for that season. So you would have been the third line center.
Yeah. So it was like, I think it was me and Dunner, and I think like
Bubbles, Kevin Labatt.
Labatt
and Joey
Heenan. So, because I think Labatt played with like Mach a little bit.
Right. But they had scoring prowess.
Yes. So it was like, yeah, I think it was me and Dunner and like Steve and Joey Heenan on the third line, which arguably would have been one of the better third lines in the Midwestern Junior B League at the time. And we kind of just like Dunner would hit everything that move. I would kind of check and win faceoffs, and we basically just cycle every team to death, and then we'd score the odd goal or tire them out. Then you guys would go out and light it up. And
we were a force that year, you could say. But then we
like
got
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, we got really close and we almost won her.
Yeah.
So then I'm curious. So you have a good year that year. I looked. It has some Junior B stats on the website, but not many. But you were about almost a point a game player that year. And then the next year, so you play a year after me too. So when do you get recruited to St. Lawrence? You got to be old.
Yeah, so I played juniors 18, 19, 20. And then it would have been like after all you guys left, or like that year when you guys had all your scholarships, like Hogger was going to St. Lawrence. Yeah. So, I mean, they never really even seen me play. But that year, the only school that ever recruited me for hockey was RIT. So me and Van Naden went down for a recruiting trip to RIT. And then they came up and watched me play in the playoffs. And they said, they basically committed to me. They said, RIT. They said, but they were still Division III. So it was still like a financial aid package.
But growing up in Elmira and seeing Derek Hahn go there and do well, you probably were thinking of that, right?
Dude, I was all in. I was like all in. And then,
like, to give the listeners a background, Derek Hahn is like the same as Rob Collins, right? He was from Elmira, and he was on those Sutherland Cup teams we watched. And then he gets a Division III scholarship, and then ends up going on playing like a decade in the DL.
Yeah. So it was like, that was the first school that ever like showed interest. And I was like, all right, this is really cool. And then I don't know, I'm trying to think. I think maybe they didn't have golf. I don't think maybe they had golf, and I still like the golf was still there. And then I sent like a resume into St. Lawrence, I think. And I don't know how it all happened, but the golf coach like got a hold of me, and she was like, for sure you're coming. We're going to make this happen. And then she got a hold of the hockey team and said, like, listen, I got this guy coming. He can have a tryout. Can he get a tryout at least? Like Garrett, like all I wanted was a tryout.
Is that real life? You're being serious?
Yeah, they
didn't recruit you for hockey at all.
They
would have came and watched Hogger play.
Yeah, they watched Hogger for like so they would have seen me play, but I don't think they wrote my name down anywhere. So yeah, so
and you became their captain.
Yeah, man. So I literally like I'm sitting in the I remember I went down for a visit then, right? So I got my financial aid package from the golf, which was pretty good. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I had a meeting then, like I set up like a meeting with like the hockey coach just to like introduce myself or whatever. So I'm sitting in there like the office, and they're just like, we can give you a tryout. That's it. We can give you a tryout. Like every school has like open walk-on tryouts,
But
right?
Hogger would have already been a freshman there, right?
Yeah, he was already a freshman there.
So they would have had to have asked him about you.
Yeah, and they knew like I played for the Sugar Kings, a reputable organization. We won Sutherland Cups, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like that last year, Junior B, man, was awful. We didn't even make the playoffs that year.
Ew.
We were brutal. Like it just was a cluster. Like it
but
just
you had you, Machin.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just was not a good year. We just nothing clicked, and yeah, just it was brutal. So I went from like not making the playoffs, the worst year of hockey ever, then to
And so then you're going to St. Lawrence. You're going there. Are you already there when you're getting the tryout, or when does the tryouts thing happen?
Yeah, so like I went for a visit in the summer, like to visit the golf and like meet the coach and stuff like that. And then I basically had a meeting with the coach, and they said, yeah, you can have a tryout. Like we have open tryouts every year. That's all we're guaranteeing you is a tryout. So that's in the summer. So I'm like, yeah, that's all good. That's all I want. All I want is a tryout.
Right. So then you go to school on a financial aid package for golf, and then golf season would be at the start of the year. And I know how tired I was just with hockey season.
Yeah.
So how do you do both, and how does that schedule work?
So it was a little bit chaotic, but I honestly so they have captains practices at the start. So the captain was Rich Peverly that year. So he's from Guelph. So I had skated with like him and Hogger that summer, and like Simon Watson was there. So I obviously knew a couple guys that were there. So for captains practices, I was ahead of the other walk-ons, because like the walk-ons, no one knew who they were, right? So I got to skate, like, when you show up first day and guys like, yeah, let's go scrimmage for like 2 hours, 3 hours.
But we didn't actually have real walk-ons. Like everybody was recruited. Everybody was recruited to be there. We had no walk-ons.
Yeah, so
they might have told them that there was a real tryout or whatever, but there actually wasn't.
Yeah, so we legit every year, man, honestly, until like my senior year, we had one ice time where any student from St. Lawrence could come on the ice. Like it was like in the rules, they had to do it or something.
And that's where you got your tryout?
Yeah, but I had already been like skating like the whole time with them, like in captain's practice.
Well, I've seen you play in men's league in Waterloo, and I could just see you just giving her out there and just dummying all the regular students. I could just imagine.
Yeah. So how it worked at the start with the golf is like, so obviously I'm there like a week early before like school starts or whatever to start playing golf. And I qualified number 1 on our team. So I'm like the top player on our team. So you play like 4 rounds. There's like about 10 players. Top 5 guys are on the travel team. The other like 5 guys are kind of like the backups, right?
So that's quite a bit of pressure. You don't want to have an off hole, because I have some off holes.
Yeah. So it's like game on right at the start. So I qualified number 1. And then we started playing like tournaments.
Was this D1 golf?
D3 golf. And I started winning these tournaments, man. Like first tournament we host at St. Lawrence. We had a course right on campus. Boom, win. 2 rounds, winner. I'm like, so then my coach was cool. Like she let me, the team would after the first like 4 rounds, she knew I was legit. Then I win my first tournament, which solidifies me as being legit. So then she was always like, hey, I'll work with you like kind of one-on-one. So I always took morning classes. I was just a morning person. So I'd get up, do my morning classes. Then I'd get to the golf course around like lunch or like 11:30. And I would go practice with her, like just on the driving range, practice, go play 9 holes. And the rest of the team would show up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I'd be like, hey guys, good seeing you. I'm out of here. because I knew we were skating at 3:00.
Holy moly, that's a busy day, buddy.
Yeah, so then I'd race to the arena, skate, work out afterwards, then go for dinner with like the hockey team, and then do homework at night. But every time I go to the rink, like the golf or the hockey coach, Joe Marsh, absolute beauty, coached there for like 26 years. He loved golf. So every time I'd show up, he'd be like, "Hey, Ranker, how'd you do?" And it was like, I won. And he loved it. Like, loved it. So yeah, basically I just kind of like, they never cut me. Like they have like the informal like tryouts where like, you know, they have to let all the other guys come out for one ice time. So they cut all those guys and I'm still like hanging out. But like, I don't know how it worked at Western Michigan, but so at St. Lawrence, like the guys that are on the team are all in the dressing room. And then all the freshmen are over like on the visitor side of the rink at the start of the year.
Why?
I don't know.
You're not a team at the start?
No, they just didn't let them move into the room right at the start. So and then when like
that's ridiculous. You put everybody in the same room if they're a team, but no, yeah. Anyways, yeah, no, we were all in the same room. We even had nameplates in our stalls. Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't get that right away or whatever. And then, like I said, then they finally moved everyone in, and I was the last guy. So they've moved all the scholarship guys now are in the room.
Scholarship guys show up and they're not allowed in the room.
They weren't in the room right away. No, it was like, I don't even think some of the returning guys were in the room. Like
this is some old school bullshit.
Yeah, like it was like NCAA rules. I don't know. That's what they told us or something. You're not allowed in the room. You're not like we weren't allowed to get like sticks or anything at the start of the year.
Oh, I remember having the practices without hockey blades on your sticks, just bag skating.
Yes, we did those too. Yes.
Sorry for burping in the mic, folks.
So yeah, we used to do. So if the coaches, I think the NCAA rule was if the coaches came on the ice before the season started, there was no pucks, right?
Oh, and you couldn't have a blade on your stick. You'd skate around with ringette sticks.
Oh yeah, we didn't even hold sticks. So we had these things. I don't know if you've ever.
You didn't have. We had ringette sticks where just no blade, and you just skate.
We did these harness things, man. So you had like a backpack strap on your like chest, and it like had two ropes behind it, and you'd have to drag two players down the ice.
My favorite was when they would put like two hockey players on top of the net and make you push the net down and back after bag skating for a couple hours. And then like the ice is all screwed up. So the net really wouldn't slide well. She was a tough go. And then they'd put buckets at center ice for the guys that would puke. So it was fun. Good time.
Yeah. So just to wrap that up, then basically, like, I don't know, we're like, right before the regular season, and I'm still changing in this dressing room by myself.
And your mind must be going nuts. And you're doing golf, and you're doing school, and you're new on campus, and you're just giving her, eh?
Yeah,
just like Waterloo men's league.
It was awesome, man. So, and then I literally, like I don't know, it's maybe like a Monday before, and we play like I don't know, we play a non-conference game on Friday. And I come out for Monday practice, and the coach pulls me over at the end of practice. He's like, "Hey, do you want to move into the big room?" And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, you've made the team. Like, we're not guaranteeing you any games or whatever, but you made the team." So like, wheel into the room after practice, and the guys were like, it was like a scene from Rudy, man. It was like unreal.
You are Rudy.
So and then
you were on a golf financial aid, but like the funny thing is it's a scene from Rudy, but like Rudy got one play. You got 19 points as a freshman.
Yeah. So I end up like, so I remember I moved in on like a Monday after practice, and like brand new gear, like head to toe, like I had never had brand new gear. Like we used gear like for the Sugar Kings.
And so what was the thing that you have still that you're giving away the equipment? Like that's what you were using, right?
Yeah, man. So like
I foundation there.
Like, Tuesday morning, I'm like dressed head to toe. Like I got a new jock even, man. Like it was like you go into like those equipment rooms. I'm sure you guys had the same thing, and it was like Christmas.
Oh.
Like it was
college was the best for decking guys out in the best gear because you know what? They don't actually have to pay you.
Yeah.
Did you know that? And everybody pays them a ridiculous amount of money to go to school there.
Yeah. So we had it was the first time in my life I got all brand new gear, like brand new skates.
Oh, you would have been flying. You would have been flying.
Oh, it was unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, when you get new gear, you just new skates are a little stiffer. You didn't realize you were letting the last pair go that bad, right?
dude, I felt like I was the best hockey player in the world. It was like unstoppable, man.
So you were not on the team that would have gone to St. Lawrence on a trip when Dietz was playing there, Brand Dietrich?
No. So
that was my first year on the Sure Kings.
Yeah.
We went to St. Lawrence. I've been there. I've seen the Skating Saints arena. It's cool. It's one of those old barns that's like awesome. And I remember Dietz coming flying out, buzzing around with his big smile.
Oh yeah. So I heard the episode with Robbie Collins. So yeah, I went when I made the team the next year. We went to watch Rob and Kunitz at Ferris.
Right.
And then I think the year after, maybe we went to watch Lax and Agates at Niagara.
Yep, that's right. And you know what? Shout out to the Sure Kings.
I came down to see you though.
You were on that team?
I was on the team. Yeah, because you and Coos.
I came to the hotel to see you guys.
Yeah, and I knew Coos from golfing at the golf course. So I remember I was like talking to all you guys in the room, and everyone's like, "How do you know these guys?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I knew this guy from back home or whatever."
Well, they'd know that. Yeah, Coos for sure as a senior. Yeah. He's a good golfer too.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? A shout out to the Sure Kings for doing those trips for us young bucks. Was the guys that got scholarships, the guys that didn't got scholarships. It was the best team bonding trip we would ever have. Was getting us all on a bus and going down to see former Sure Kings playing in Division One. And so for myself in 3 years, I went to St. Lawrence and Ottawa 67s. We watched the OHL and NCAA. Then the next year we went to Ferris and then Niagara. So we got to see it, right? And you got to bond as a team and have like a fun time, even if there might have been some underage drinking, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, kudos honestly to the Kings for that, because when I went to St. Lawrence, would tell guys about that. No other junior teams did that.
Is that right? Were we the only one? Because that's awesome that they did that, man. You got to see those schools and see what it was like and see the bands playing and the trumpets and the whole thing was just wild.
I'll give a shout out to someone here that doesn't get nearly the recognition that they deserve. Bob Cummings.
It's Clippy
single-handedly probably got most of us our NCAA opportunities. That guy, as much as we bugged him and whatever, he used to send letters to schools and stuff like that and make sure scouts were coming up to watch our games. And
Captain Ronnie.
So
no, you're right though. Clippy also shout out. He was my grade 6 communications teacher and a beauty. No, he's an awesome guy, and how much he's done for the Sure King organization, the town of Elmira, and every player that's played there. No, he's just one of those gems, right?
Yeah, I mean, hat off to him, because what he's done. I mean, he's been with the organization for I'm gonna say 50 years, maybe.
Might be more.
Yeah. So really awesome job by him.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. And thanks for bringing him up. Clippy is just one of those hockey guys that goes unnoticed in the hockey world, except for guys like us, right? That were fortunate enough to meet him.
Yeah, like I said, he's done wonders for not only us but other guys there. Like I said, I think every time if you were to talk to all the scouts that come through the Elmira Arena, they know who Clippy is, because he's the one giving them the lowdown, right?
Oh man, yeah, awesome guy. Okay, back on track though. Is 19 points as a freshie, and as a walk-on financial aid golfer. To then becoming the best defensive forward in the ECAC, and becoming the captain of the team. So you're not just Rudy, man. Maybe there should be a movie.
Yeah, it honestly, Wally, it couldn't have worked out like any better. I mean, the scenario could have happened so many other ways, but my freshman year there, like I said, I didn't play the first 7 or 8 games, I think. And then I got in and I never left the lineup for like 3.5 years. So it was I think my freshman year, I ended up sneaking on to like the all rookie team in our conference with like, I think like Lee Stempniak was on that team. Like, yeah, there were some good players, man. Like Cornell always had like Matt Molson was at like we had some good players in that ECAC. And like then you saw my name and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, but I got lucky. Like I said, I got an opportunity where some of the freshmen they brought in were more of like the skilled variety. And when your team's like, we didn't start very good, we lost a few games early, and those guys kept, you turn the puck over, the coach gets pissed off, and I just got a chance to play, and I played a very simple game, and I got lucky enough. I was I'll give myself a little bit of credit here. I was really good at face-offs. So like, when in like in practice, when you're doing like the power play game, right, where you got the power play working against the penalty kill or whatever, like I would win all the face-offs against like the power play. And then finally the coach said, well, why don't we put Ranker on the power play to win the face-off? So then I ended up being like face-off guy on the power play, and they just screen the goalie, just stand in front of the net. And I was smart enough, like Rich Peverly was out there. We had some other good players like on D, and I was good enough just to win the face-off, get them the puck, and I picked up some points. And like I said, by the time senior year rolled around, I was, legit like top. Well, I think I led my team in scoring my senior year.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit personally. I've skated with you. I've never had to play against you, and I'm very thankful. I wouldn't want to, and I'm sure the way your role was and my role was, we'd probably be playing against each other, and
Yeah.
I would have hated it because I've seen what you do to people, and I wouldn't want that, and I'd get very annoyed. But your work ethic and like what you were doing with golf, school, hockey, and then like I know the player you are and the person you are, like. And on the ice, you were so responsible. You work hard. You block every shot. You'll do anything for any teammate. Like I see how it all happens. It's just amazing that like you didn't go to AAA. You don't get any exposure, and then in junior B, you're a late bloomer, but you're about as late blooming as they get. There's not many flowers blooming at that point, Kyle.
Yeah, no, like I said, I was always like, I mean, to break it down, I mean, I could skate just as fast as most people. I could shoot hard. I wasn't super skilled with the puck, but I worked hard, and
you worked harder than most, and you were willing to do anything for your team.
Well, and that's the thing. I fell into the right situation. I mean, I'll give my coaches at St. Lawrence like total credit for not like just overlooking me, right? Like they obviously saw my work ethic and that I was like, I practiced in those practices, man. Like, I don't know how your practices were at Western Michigan, but ours were like full contact. Like,
it was a full go.
Like, so, and I was like doing good, right? So,
I could see you outworking everybody there.
Yeah, so they were.
You are like, Rudy too, though, but you're good.
Yeah, like it was like, why don't you just give him a chance in a game, right? So I'll give my coaches full credit because I think that's a problem. Like, I was a late bloomer, yes, but I also got an opportunity. I think a lot of kids that would potentially be late bloomers, they never get that opportunity. So I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time at St. Lawrence when they needed a player kind of like with my skill set, and ended up, I mean, by the senior year, I was good. I led our team in scoring. I was the captain.
Well, speaking of late bloomers, like it's weird because like kids, this is ridiculous to say, but like your balls drop at different ages. You grow hair at different ages. You become a man at different ages. And like there's the blue chip prospects that are like, huge when they're in Bantam, and, they go to the OHL and they're already huge. And then there's the guys that like, they're, you're still good at hockey. You're just not filled out. You're not grown up yet. And it's weird how like it's just a lot of small town guys though that maybe don't get the exposure or aren't around. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah,
Why are there
it's
so many late bloomers that from Elmira? Collins, you, me.
yeah,
Why is
yeah.
everybody a late bloomer?
Well, I honestly, man, I think it's like it's hard because like think about the situation now. Like, I mean, my parents never put any pressure on me to go to like get a university degree or anything like that. It was like the only goal growing up was play for the Sugar Kings. So like my parents were like, well, if you don't make the Sugar Kings till you're 18, that's fine. Just play 18, 19, 20. You know what I mean? But now, like, I feel like if kids like, and I listened to the episode with like your old teammate Vince Bellissimo,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, he's making judgments on kids like at 16 years old, right? 15 years old. And I mean, there's probably so many kids that they just they don't get that opportunity at that age, and then they get kind of like discouraged or whatever,
Or
and
out of the game.
they're out of the game because, right, like think about it, there's no grade 13 anymore. So like now everything gets expedited a year because you're basically going to university now when you're like 18 instead of going when you're 19, right? So some kids are even 17 when they go to university, right? If you have a late birthday. So
It's like David Sims says, every hockey player is married now. Everybody's growing up like younger now. Like they're married younger. They're in
yeah. So it just like I said, it's one of those things where it was the perfect storm. I was lucky enough, like I said, I played on really good junior B teams, which I think helped my development because I got to see what winning was like. I got to like, I mean, watching like my first year, watching like what Agates and Fisher and Fearman and those guys did was like unbelievable. And then, like I said, then the next year to be more a part of it, we're watching like yourself and Kennel and Hogger, like just dominate. You know what I mean? And like I said, I was put into some pressure situations where, you know, you're up by one goal in the third period of a game. You got to win a face-off.
But on the other end of that is like the way I think yourself and myself really found out what it took to win was like talking to Rob Collins there earlier this week was watching those Sugar King teams. Me and you were standing at the end of the old arena by where, you know, the fast food places. We were standing at the glass with the Mennonites and all the other locals, and everybody was so into those hockey games, man. It was like we were watching the Stanley Cup Finals.
I was the biggest hockey nerd, Wally. I mean, I remember, like I said, I heard you talking with Rob. Like, I knew the way those guys, if they wore their tongue out of their skates or what color they taped their stick with, or that was just, I don't know. We were rink rats, man.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like, you know, you'd sit and talk. When I got to St. Lawrence, you'd sit and talk to guys. And my roommate, he played in a French kid, Andre Sanders. Like he played in Nepean. I think he had like 150 points. They won like, you know, whatever the Fred Page Cup or whatever's down in Ottawa. And he was coming in like a big recruit. And I remember like talking to him about like, you know, a controlled forecheck or like our breakout or something. He's like, I don't know any of that stuff. And I'm like, well, you're going to kind of have to know some of like, he was just so good that he didn't ever think about that. But then like, it kind of bit him in the butt in the end because he like was a drill buster.
Yeah. And you can't,
you know what I mean? Like,
you can't,
I mean, we joke about like, he's one of my best buddies. I lived with him for 2 years, but we joke about this. Like he started the year as a freshman, quarterback in the power play as like a forward. And then by like a month and a half later, he was like a healthy scratch. You know what I mean? It just like,
well, you got to put people in the right situations too when they're comfortable and ready. Like I know my freshman year, they had me playing the point with Coos, and I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like I had never played the point, and I was so scared of the other team getting breakaways that I couldn't even think. I was like, I'm gonna screw. And I've never played in front of this many people. You got all these people, and then you put me on the point, and you're like, if I try to make a D to D pass, which I've never tried to do, are they gonna go on a breakaway? And I couldn't do it.
So, and that's one thing. I'm glad you said that because when I first got there to St. Lawrence, I had no pressure on me.
Right.
Anything I did was like a bonus. If I blocked a shot,
and the coaches could be like, "Look at Ranker. We didn't even recruit him."
I know.
bags of,
I know.
yeah.
So like I said, if I played in a game, like I remember my first game, I think I got like maybe 7 or 8 shifts, but like they're like, hey, you had 2 block shots, 4 hits, and you won 3 faceoffs. Good job. Whereas the
The guy
second
that
line
played
player,
20 minutes, yeah.
yeah,
You
second
turned it
line
over
guy,
at the blue.
yes,
Your second wind. I've heard it.
yeah. So that's like I said, I had no pressure on me, and that's like I said, they kept giving me a little bit more responsibility, and I mean, I kept doing well. I mean, you're not going to get given everything, but you still have to succeed. So every time they give you a little bit more, I pass the test, right?
No, I think you're a giver,
So
and you're a good teammate. You do the drills well. You listen to your coaches. Like you really are. Like if I was putting together a team of my buddies, you would be my third line center. Like of all the guys I've had on this, you'd be my third line center. I get to be the captain. I know I'm a little Elmira biased, but like that would be the lineup because you were the best third line center I played with.
yeah,
Like I wouldn't want to play against you, and I'm glad I didn't. So moving on from other things from St. Lawrence before we get into your pro career is you spoke about Pevs. I don't know him that well. I skated with him a bit in the summer, but you played with Mike McKenzie, who is like running the Kitchener Rangers, and I think Dennis Weidman, who was a Potter, works for him, right? Is that how it
yeah,
works?
yeah. So
And his old man's Bobo, which
yeah,
would he be watching you play? Would Bob McKenzie be in
yeah.
the crowd watching you give her?
So funny. Okay, I'll have a little. I got a little story for this. So it was my junior year, and Mike McKenzie was getting recruited. So Bob McKenzie and Mike are down like watching us play one weekend. So after the game
The
on
rink would be
Friday,
a buzz with you boys, eh?
oh yeah. So after the game, my dad's like, oh hey Kyle, like Bob McKenzie was here. And I'm like, yeah, like the school's recruiting his son. I have to give him a tour of like the rink and like campus. And I was talking to him or whatever. So on Saturday, my dad is having beers with Bob McKenzie. Like the highlight of his life, man. He's like, this is wicked. So then, like, obviously, Mike comes to St. Lawrence the next year. I'm the captain. So my dad and Bob McKenzie are crushing beers every Friday and Saturday night. Like,
Oh,
it
my
was,
parents were doing it the same with, yeah.
oh, it was unreal, man. So my old man was like, he was over the moon. He thought this was the coolest thing because he'd be like between the intermissions, he'd be like, hey Bob, what's the score of the Leaf game? And like Bob would like look up on his phone, like, oh yeah, hey Rich, it's 2-1 for the Leafs or 4-0. The Leafs are losing again. You know what I mean?
So he was taking some time off from the broadcasting, which to get down to see his son play then?
Yeah, I don't think he missed a game in 4 years of Mike's.
Is that right?
Yeah, he came to every game.
That's impressive
Yeah.
with what
So
he's got going on.
Yeah, so he did a lot of like radio shows. He'd always be like doing radio shows and shit like that. But yeah, I don't think he ever missed a game, man.
That's why podcasting is so cool, is because you really can do it from anywhere, and like kind of like what he was doing with the radio thing. But
Yeah.
the other, oh man, the other thing I was gonna say while we were on that topic, and they became friends, and I know how close the parents can become, whatever, but on Twitter, actually, this was years ago, when your old man passed, was Bob wrote like an article on your old man, or he sent out a tweet, or it was something. I
Yeah.
remember reading it and going, wow, like,
Yeah, he wrote well when he tweeted some stuff out when Pevs had his incident there on the bench. And then he wrote when my dad passed, he wrote like a super big, like it was like a 5 or 6 page, like
yeah,
big like essay sort of thing. And yeah, super cool. So yeah, like I said, not that I like talk with Bob all the time, but yeah, I text him every now and again to, if I see him do something funny, or he'll text me when my brother's reffing or something like that. So yeah, it's a pretty cool relationship. And like I said, I usually hit Mike up for some tickets at the Ranger games. Like we usually take the kids out for like the teddy bear toss game or something like that. So Yeah, an awesome relationship. Mike was he was like the hot shot young freshman coming in when I was a senior. So we played on the same line, and yeah, we had an awesome year, awesome time. And that was probably maybe not the best. It kind of reminded me of the Sugar Kings, like maybe not the most skilled team, because I led our team in points, but the best team I ever played on at St. Lawrence was my senior year. We made it. Yeah, we made it to the the Frozen Four tournament, and
Is that right?
yeah. So
Holy wow! I didn't know you made it to the Frozen Four.
yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
wild.
We lost to Boston College, who had Brian Boyle was their top guy. Him and Nathan Gerby, and their goalie was Corey Schneider. So
Brian Boyle
cool.
and Nathan Gerby on the same line would look funny because
Yeah. Yep.
like
6'6"
one's really tall,
6'6" and maybe 4'6".
Yeah, no, very, very short and very tall. That would be a strange line. Okay. Moving on from St. Lawrence then is so you were a golfer, you worked your way up. I have to piss after this. I seriously, I'm asking this question and I'm going. I'll be right back. You just keep talking. I'll fill in the blanks when I'm walking the dog later, but don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Pro options. You obviously are Rudy. It's wild to hear that St. Lawrence story. That's incredible and good for you. And you deserve everything you got. Your work ethic and I guess being a teammate and being just a good dude. But that's what got you where you were. But you're old as balls. Like you may have gray haired balls at your senior year. So you can't have many pro options, but you do go straight to the AHL. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So we had finished playing. We lost to Boston College in that Frozen Four tournament. Came home. We basically did what normal college students would do, drank for a few days and partied. And I got a call from the Islanders organization. I think it was Brian Trottier. And at this point, I didn't even have a cell phone. So he called my dorm room phone, and I ended up hanging up on him because I thought it was one of my teammates playing a joke. And they wanted me to come play. So when the Islanders, I didn't even really have an agent. I had to find an agent. But yeah, I had to get one of my buddies to drive me from school down to Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I signed an ATO, I think they were called at the time. And I think I played 10 games. I lived in a hotel. I had, I don't know, maybe 2 changes of clothes. It was I had no money. I was a starving student. So yeah.
I got a question. What, I saw, because I went after a pretty solid college career and really didn't get much ice time, really didn't get to play much.
I came to your first game. Remember that?
Yeah.
In Syracuse.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was my junior year. Well, yeah, my junior year. Yeah, because you were a year ahead of me. Junior year.
And that was probably the most I think I played. I think my first shift, we scored a goal on the ice. And then I just I had a bad curve. I was using some random guy's stick and I had no idea how to pass it or shoot it or nothing.
Yeah.
How do you play with a random guy's stick and you get to the AHL? It makes no sense.
Well, that was the randomness. You go to this new league and you're not allowed to use any of your gear. You got to use I think it was CCM or Reebok or whatever.
And that's a real you're used to college where you used your own gear and they gave you the best stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're a step away from the NHL. You show up and you're like, well, I got my Bauer sticks here and I'm using these tonight because then I'd play good. Yeah. They're like, no, you can't use those.
Yeah. So it was funny too, because I had heard from some other guys on my team and that these ATOs, you got paid a little bit of money sometimes, per game, right? I got nothing.
It's per diem. You get per diem.
So yeah, that's all I was getting. I was getting enough to buy 3 meals of food a day. and that was it. Like, so when you were peeing there, I was saying, like, I didn't even have an agent, man. I had to get an agent. Like, after, like, it was chaos, man. Like, when you were peeing too, I said, Brian Trottier, he called my dorm room. I hung up on him because I thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of my teammates calling. So, and I'm like, why is Brian Trottier calling me? And then my coaches from St. Lawrence had to like track me down. They're like, the Islanders want you to go play for their American League team. So, and I was just crushing beers like 4 or 5 days.
And being from Elmira, and like, it was the same for me, man. I was at Western Michigan, and I'll never forget the first time being called from an NHL team. Like, I was sitting in a class, and it's like I finally get a cell phone, right? And it'll say the number or whatever, and the phone starts ringing in class, and it says Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah.
And then you run out of the class like they're like, you're not in the middle of a class in university. Yep. And you talk to the person so nervous and you don't know what you're saying, and yeah, quite the time.
Yeah. Well, you'll like this. Like, this hasn't come up yet, but we had walkie-talkies in university because none of us had cell phones. So my one roommate ordered 4 walkie-talkies, and us 4 guys, we walk around campus with walkie-talkies.
That was before in Michigan they started doing that beep thing, man. When I first went to school, it was like, where you at?
Oh yeah.
Whatever that was called. The phones would have that button on the side. Yeah. It drove me insane.
Yeah. So I went through university without a cell phone. We had these walkie-talkies, and my parents would call like my dorm room if they need to get a hold of me. And that's where Brian Trottier, he got my dorm room number, and I hung up on him.
Solid play.
So,
well, you know what?
So
obviously
it was good though. Like, I ended up going to Bridgeport. I played 10 games. I
Thrasher Belgian whip here.
Scored a goal my first game against I was playing Hartford Wolfpack. I think the goalie was Al Montoya.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So yeah,
Michigan punk. He used to. Yeah.
And then
what was your role? You get straight to the AHL. What's your role? How much ice time do you get?
So in those 10 games, man, I was playing a regular shift. It was like, hey, they were out of there, maybe battling for the last playoff spot.
Isn't it crazy in the AHL? Like, I got buddies that, like, you go to the AHL, you don't get a shift all year, but then their NHL team didn't make the playoffs. So then everybody gets called up that could. And then all of a sudden, guys that never would have got a chance get a chance and show what they can do. And they're like, oh, I didn't know.
Yes. So I went from like naive college where you're like, I was the go-to guy, right? I was playing first line my senior year, first line penalty kill, first line power play, first minute of the game, last minute of the game. And then you go to college and you're like, okay. And I was getting a regular shift. I did well. And then so I played 10 games. I think I had 4 points in 10 games. And I was like, all right, like, I could play here. This is, you know what I mean? This is all right.
Oh yeah.
And then that summer, Bridgeport wanted me back on an AHL East Coast League deal. And then my agent was like, no, you'll be able to get an AHL one way, no problem. So I'm like, okay, so wait like till I think it was like July 1st or whatever you had to sign. So, but when I went back to school after I left Bridgeport, because we still had like a month of school left, and then we had graduation and stuff. So I go back. I played golf with the head scout from Pittsburgh, and he basically told me, he's like, yeah, we're gonna offer you an AHL contract. So
it was a one-way AHL deal?
One-way AHL deal with an invitation to their summer camp and main training camp.
So yeah, that's the same deal I got. But I did want to say one thing before we move on is I just thought of this is because it's, I think, the third kind of beer I've drank on this episode is the Bayfield Brewing Company supplies me with these beers. And I've been to a couple like micro breweries in the area lately, and I go there and there might be one kind of beer I want to drink. Like there might be one kind I want to try. And the Bayfield Brewing Company, I literally like every kind of beer they supply me. Like literally every kind is different, and it I don't know. I don't understand how their beer is so good, and I get to drink it on the podcast. So thank you again. Because yeah, this is a thresher. So moving on, Kyle.
So yeah, like so in the summer, I got an invite. So obviously you leave senior year, like I'm in the best shape of my life. All you do in college is work out.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I
No,
go
yeah. What school
to
were you at?
St.
Oh,
Lawrence
seriously.
University.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was living with Stretch and Daryl
Okay.
Yachts. We got a little sidetracked there a couple times on weekends and things like that, but we did try to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got an invite to Pittsburgh summer camp, right? Where they invite like all their drafted guys and stuff. So I mean, I'm 24 years old. There's me and like Ben Lovejoy, you'll know that name. He played,
Yeah.
won some cups. He was at Dartmouth. He was a defenseman at Dartmouth. We signed like the identical contract. We were both there. We were roommates at the
And he
summer
worked
camp.
his way up from that to what he did.
Yeah, yeah. So like I went there, you do all the fitness testing. Like, I mean, I'm 24 years old against all these like 18, 19-year-old kids. Like, so
You're a
like
man.
my exit meeting, they're like, man, we're actually really impressed with like your conditioning, your strength,
But you're 6 years older than the puppies.
exactly. So right. And I don't have a 3-year contract like all these guys do. And at the last scrimmage of this is my hockey career in a nutshell. My last scrimmage of summer camp, we're winning by 1 goal. I block a shot and break my thumb. So
So
that
you missed the start of the whole thing.
So I break my no, it's fine. So now I have like, because that's in the middle of like July, the summer camp right after the draft. So now I have like 8 weeks or whatever until training camp. But I have to get surgery and get 2 pins put in my thumb. So then I get surgery, but like people think I'm like some important person because I go walking into the doctor's office with like the athletic therapist of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm getting surgery. And so I get surgery. I have to fly back to Pittsburgh every week so they can see my thumb.
It was a bad one then?
Yeah. So it's like the bone like snap, like the whatever middle bone here between your 2 knuckles of your thumb. It like got hit with a puck and dang, like I pulled it out of my glove and it was dangling. So yeah. So anyway, so I fly back and that's when like, it was pretty funny. That's when kind of like reality set in. Cause I was like, I'd fly back and the odd time there'd be like NHL guys at the rink and I'd be in there with like the team doctor and stuff like that. And I'm like, where am I right now? Like, just pinch me, please.
And so, you'd be in the Pittsburgh Penguins arena, like chat.
I was, yeah, right in the arena. Like, yeah, I had a car, like it was crazy because you get picked up from the airport by a car service and the guy would have like a Pittsburgh Penguins like logo with my name on it. And like kids are asking me for like autographs and stuff like that. And I'm like, sure, but like you guys, like you don't really know who I am. Like you'll never know who I am. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but the thing is like you gotta believe in yourself, man. And like that's what I find when I talk to a lot of guys that are like the guys that did make it. A lot of them talk like that, and like. But like the line between making it and not making it, man, there's so much mental to it. And like the thing for you is you're going into pro when you're 24, not 18. And they're like, well, what could he be? And what could he be? And what could he be? And you're like, well, I'm already this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like it was eye-opening, right? Because so I got to play in Kitchener in that like rookie tournament for Pittsburgh, and like we did pretty well. Our team won the tournament. I think I had a couple goals, like, you know, maybe you play 4 games. I think I had 2 goals in the 4 games and our team wins. I'm feeling pretty good. Then you show up, like training camp starts like a day later. You show up at training camp and there's like already like 40 guys there, plus the 25 guys that were at the rookie tournament. I'm like, where are all these? Like, there's enough for like 4 teams at training camp.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, kind of, yeah. I mean, they give you all the stat packs and stuff, and I'm like, laying in the hotel bed. I'm like, where the fuck are all these guys gonna play?
There's so many hockey players.
Yeah. So, like I said, and I mean, I came from like, I'm a team player, and it like pro hockey is so cutthroat, man. Unless you're Sidney Crosby making millions and you're like the best player in the world, if you're like a third line guy, you don't care about anyone else but yourself. All you're trying to do is do good, make a contract.
You played in North America way too long, man.
Well,
Like,
I know, but
and we'll get into that. Yeah, I'm
so
still upset about a few things here. But we'll get into that.
so
But like, no, you're right. Like the North America Pro was the most selfish hockey I've ever played in my life.
yeah,
Like your entire life, you grow up, you're on a team, you help each other, you do this, you do that, you're all in it together. And then you get to the AHL, and oh
yeah,
my God, they are the most rancid teams I've ever been a part of. Like, they're like, there's a there's good dudes, but like you're not a team because one day there's these 5 guys on the team, and the next day these 5 boys just finished college and they're coming in. Oh, but then there's 2 guys coming down from the show, and then there's 2 guys going down to the coast, but then there's the odd guy that got injured, and it's just a mess. Sorry for burping in the mic.
oh yeah.
I got wound up.
No, it's a good point though, Wally. Like you come from like a team atmosphere, like
From
in
Elmira,
college.
Ontario, and the Sugar
Yeah,
Kings, right? And
and
winning the Sutherland Cup as a community, as a town, as a family, and then you go to that shit.
well, I found like so my first year or like with Wilkes-Barre, my first year full pro. So I played fourth line minutes with Dennis Bonvie, all time like pro hockey penalty minute leader. He's like yelling at me on the bench because like I didn't see him like open back door. I'm like, I'm not fucking backhand saucing that through 3 players because you're open on the back door. I'm shooting it at the goalie, trying to get a rebound or an offensive zone faceoff so we don't get yelled at. And then like,
Some of the personalities you'd see
oh,
were so outrageous, and like especially when it came to the heavyweights were still involved. Like there were some outrageous personalities, and you're like,
man.
I'm not used to this. I'm used to like Darren Fisher and the boys in Elmira that like taught me how to, yeah.
Yeah, there were, like I said, I played with Dennis Bonvie against the toughest guys in that division. And there was games where I'm like, don't do anything. I didn't even want to hit guys, Wally, because I didn't want to have to fight. I was
And
like,
because you're tall and you give her, like you would have to fight. People would be trying to
yeah,
fight you because you're tall and fast and you're
yeah.
big. Like
Like you'd
nobody was
skate.
gonna try and fight me, but I was out with those mutants too. I was playing
Yeah.
fourth line too. I was playing
Yeah.
with Mike Scroy. They'd
All I
mix in the
all I
centerman
wanted
with us.
all I wanted to do was like have a shift, don't do anything stupid, don't get yelled at by the coach. And like you'd play like 3 or 4 shifts a game, and then like your team would win or lose, and they'd be like, yeah, Ranker, we're gonna put someone else in your spot. I'm like, I did nothing to impact this game in a negative way. Why am I coming out?
Oh, I know. The decisions they'd make had nothing to do with the actual game that was played. And
Yeah.
it was ridiculous to try and figure it out. But you'd drive yourself mental in your hotel room wondering what you're doing, right?
Oh yeah.
Is this a new thing after Rob Collins? Is this a new thing? Are we peeing on the pod every time now?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Wow, 2 in a row. I win 57 episodes without a piss on the pod live, and now we're going back to back jacks, eh?
There you go.
Okay. So you do that year, you don't play much in the AHL, kind of the same as me, but you at least got to stay there. I was in the coast, but at least I actually felt more like a team in the coast, because in the coast, everybody was like, we're all here together. We're all still love hockey. We want to play. It wasn't as cutthroat as the AHL, where guys are going up and going down, and it was so toxic. I really didn't like it.
Yeah, like I said, I was lucky enough. I played on in Wilkes-Barre with some good players. Like Chris Letang was there, Alex Goligoski. Like,
This
well,
number one isn't going to turn into a number two, is it?
no, we're good.
You're
We're
not
good.
wiping on here, are you?
No.
Okay.
So, and another guy you had on the pod, Chris Menard. I played with him in Wilkes-Barre. Like, those guys were awesome, and just to be like a part of it was super cool. But for development, like I got to practice with those guys, great, but like never got to do anything other than like 3 or 4 shifts a game, and that's about it, right? Guys were getting sent down all the time from the NHL that needed to play a few games. Other guys were getting called up, and
Oh, it's crazy. It really is. And and you grow up being like hockey players on a team, and it is very weird when you get to pro, the difference of the team atmosphere, right? Like all of a sudden you go from college, which it's all about team, you love each other for 4 years, to just you're on your own now.
yeah, it's like I said, it's a whole new world too, right? Like everyone comes from different places, from junior, from college, but yeah, like you're expected. I'd never like rented an apartment on my own and done all that stuff, right? Like I lived on campus at St. Lawrence for 4 years. We had like a suite, like a hockey suite. So we would go to the dining hall still for 4 years, man. It was like they take care of you, everything was done for you, and then you get thrown out into this world. And yeah, it was like a whole world. Like I bought a new truck and a cell phone all in the same year. I'm 24, like turning 25 years old. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, but yeah, then you are 24. So then the thing is though, you go from the 25 games played with 1 assist playing with Bonvi, right? But
Yeah.
you still get another deal. So what's that? East Coast AHL with Portland, Cincinnati?
So I started on an East Coast League deal. So that's when I basically talked to Eggets. So
And I
I
had him written down there, Eggets.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was between Wheeling wanted me back on they like, yeah, we'll have you back on an East Coast League deal. And I was like, you know what? Like, great. But like Wheeling was a shithole. And I wanted to like try like a new organization. So I'm like, well, they're not going to call me up there. So all I'm doing is auditioning for other teams. So I might as well go somewhere else. So it was I narrowed it down. I had a buddy from university that played in Vegas. So it was Vegas or Cincinnati. And at that point, like it was still kind of like the Northeast that got more call ups. So I talked to Agates and picked Cincinnati and had an awesome time there. Coaches were good. Rink was awesome. Like our setup there was great. And then got called up. That's the crazy part, like what people don't realize. So I'm on the road with Cincinnati. So all I have is like my tracksuit, maybe like an extra t-shirt and like a pair of underwear. And they're like, hey, Portland called, you're getting called up.
And you're gone.
And I'm like, okay. So I fly out. We were where were it? Maybe like Elmira, New York. We were playing Elmira. So I fly out of like Corning Airport to Portland. And Portland is like East Coast, like up in Maine. Like there's like 3 feet of snow there. I got nothing. So yeah, I stayed there the first time for like 3 weeks and then got sent back down, I think just before Christmas. And then I was only down for like a game or two and got called back up for the rest of the year. So,
and that's when you obviously established yourself, in my opinion, because you play 44 AHL games that year and you start obviously in the first or in the East Coast. But the biggest thing was you played playoff games, man. Playing playoff games in the AHL, I didn't know what that meant until when I left school and Syracuse is going into the playoffs and they have this team and we're like, yeah, we're good. And like, I meet all the guys and we're having fun. And like, I'm living in the hotel and I kind of get kind of a tryout. And then all of a sudden I'm in the shower changing for practice and Columbus has not made the playoffs. And all of a sudden there's like 8 to 10 new boys on the team. And I'm sent back to school and they're like, to play AHL playoff games is a lot different than playing a regular season game, right?
Yeah. So I basically, when I got to Portland, like the coach there was Kevin Deneen, and he was awesome to me. Like he was honest with me and gave me a fair shake. It's the first time in pro where I actually felt like pretty decent.
Am I supposed to be able to see you right now? Because
No,
okay,
I'm just reloading beers here.
okay, because I'm looking at the ceiling.
Gotcha. So, yeah, Kevin Deneen like gave me like a fair shake, let me play, and like I said, then when you make the playoff roster, it's like world changing. You're like, all right, I'm on this team now.
Yeah, you're actually part of the team. You're like a real part of the team. Like when they were, I remember when I go there from Western Michigan, and they're talking about these playoff shares, and you have these 5 veteran guys in the corner of the room talking about who on the team's going to get money for if we win a round. And then you got the NHL guys coming back, and you're like, this is so far from the Elmira Sure Kings, where every single guy was in it together and all we wanted to do was win together.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we had a pretty good team with Buffalo's organization there. Like we had some older veteran guys. We had like Jonas Enroth was our goalie who played like the World Championships for Sweden.
Portland was with Buffalo.
Yeah, they were with Buffalo. They were with Anaheim, and then they went to Buffalo when I was with them. So yeah, so we had a decent team. We didn't. We played well. To give like some names, like we played Providence in the first round of playoffs, and they had like Tuukka Rask was their goalie. David Krejci was on their team. Like they had some good players like Byron Bitts, who ended up playing for the Bruins.
But Buffalo wasn't with Rochester.
No, there was like a 2 or 3 year window where they got away from Rochester. I don't know, something.
That makes no sense, but okay.
I know.
Moving on.
Yeah. So, and then, after that year, after like my exit meeting, they said, yeah, we want you back. So I signed a one-way AHL deal again with an invitation to Buffalo's training camp. And that was like the first time where I thought like I could probably play in the NHL. Like I'm not going to make a career out of it, but I could for sure get a call up. I could for sure play a third or fourth line role. So like, and then it gets to the point where
and I know you could, Ranker. I know you could play a third, fourth line role in the NHL easily.
Yeah. So
back in the day, sorry, not anymore. Anymore.
No, for sure. But so then you get to training camp that year, and you're like, you're in the best shape of your life. You're like, all you're thinking is hockey. And then it's like, it's the same thing. Like the politics take over, and it's like, hey, they're giving this young, like not even like the first or second round draft picks, like the 8th round draft pick from that year, like an exhibition game. You're like, fuck, that guy's not making the team. Like I might actually play a game this year. Like all I wanted was one exhibition game.
But it was your age. It was your age, man.
For sure.
100% it was your age. If you were the same player 5 years younger when you got there.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, go to Portland that year, and I was like one of the veteran guys. So like I wore a letter in like some exhibition games and stuff like that. And I played a regular playing a regular shift. I never played higher than like third line. But I mean, I had a decent year. Like I think I had
20 points.
20 points, right? Like
20 points in 79 games in the AHL. And I know the role you would play, and you'd be playing against the other team's top lines and trying to shut them down.
Yeah, like I didn't
like that's a hell of a season, dude.
Didn't see one power play. You know what I mean?
Right, and you're getting 20 points. Like there's not many dudes doing that.
There was a few times where, like I remember the one game I think I had like a fight and like maybe like a goal and 2 assists or something, and I'm like, I could legit get called up. Like, and this is like I mean, when you're in the American League, there's scouts at every game, right? So there's always scouts down in the dressing room afterwards, like, or player development guys or whatever. And guys are like actually talking to me, like, good game. You know what I mean? Work on this. You did this good, right? And I'm like,
all of a sudden they're paying attention to you. You're not the
yeah,
guy
like,
that's
right.
just, you're not the guy showering in the shower or
Yeah,
sorry,
well,
changing in the shower.
yeah, they
Wow.
actually
Good
saw
English.
that I was like an effective hockey player, right? So that was the first time where I was like, you know what? I could maybe have a chance. But yeah, never happened, never got a call up. And then that year, so this is the downfall of the AHL then. So we finished first place in our division. Really good, like, regular season. We were awesome, getting ready for playoffs. Buffalo makes the playoffs. They're playing against Boston. They call up our 3 best players because they want them there in case someone gets hurt. So we lost our goalie and 3 best players to Buffalo, and we
It
got
was
swept.
over.
We got
Yeah.
swept in the first round of playoffs. And it doesn't matter for like the better players, but for a guy like me, if I can win a round in the playoffs, it's a nice bonus, but it also looks really good in contract negotiations the next year. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So but yeah, so after that, like, at that point, like, me and Roxy got married the summer before that, so we were living apart.
So you were
We were
already married and you
Yeah.
had you ever lived together?
No, well, like in the summers and stuff like that, but no. So I got married that summer, and then I left for Portland. So she would come down, like, because she was teaching, so it just didn't make sense financially for her to give up that. And then
That lasts
yeah,
forever.
so then we basically decided. So after that year, I had like a pretty good exit meeting with like Kevin Deneen, and I just said, like, what's your deal? And he said, well, he's interviewing for the Florida job, and he's like the front runner for the Florida job, so which he ended up getting. So there was talks of bringing me to, I think at that point, I think Rochester was with Florida at that point. So he's like, I can get you a deal in Rochester, or his brother was an assistant coach with the Marlies. And he's like, I can get you a tryout in Toronto. And I'm thinking, like, at this point, I'm like, okay, like, Roxy, like, we're married. If I could play in Toronto, pretty close to home. So I ended up signing like a tryout with Toronto, and went to camp with the Marlies. And I honestly, Wally, at this point, I think I would be like 27, my 4th year, 28 years old. Like, I'm legit.
And you're not going to the NHL camp. You're going straight to the AHL camp.
Straight to the AHL camp.
And the guys going straight to the AHL camp have no chance with nothing.
No, nothing. So I go there. First exhibition game.
You
2
knew
goals,
that, right?
Yeah, 2 goals, 1 assist, on fire.
I know.
Second exhibition game, 1 goal, 2 assists, like, on fire. So Dallas Eakins is the coach, great guy. Like, he sits me down. He's like, listen, I want you on my team. He's like, but I don't think Brian Burke is going to give you a contract. And I'm like, all right. But he's like, just stick with me. So like I'm at training camp there was like 3 weeks long or whatever. So I'm there the whole time. Everyone comes, everyone gets cut. Guys get sent down for the Leafs. I'm still there. Guys get sent to the coast. Guys get sent back to junior. So it's like 2 days before the regular season. I'm like, dude, I might like really make this team. Like,
and you have no contract.
No contract. So I'm at like the Marlies is like pretty legit like organization or whatever. Obviously, like they have like a jumbotron and stuff. So I'm doing like the headshots, like goal celebration things for the jumbotron. I'm like, and my buddy that I had in Portland is the equipment manager, and he's like, dude, he's like, I think you like are gonna make the team, man. And I'm like, I don't know. So, anyways, come to the rink the next day, the day before the regular season, and they like call me into the office, and I'm like, all right, well, they haven't called my agent at this point, so this is probably the exit meeting. And yeah, they just like Dallas Eakins was like honest. He's like, I'd like to sign you, but Berkey doesn't want to give you a contract. So that's all we got.
Well, and
so
that's what happens. Like I went my senior year. I was not in good enough shape or whatever. And they were done with me. And my agent told me to stick with them and take the guaranteed contract. I
Yeah.
never even got invited to rookie camp. I
Yeah.
don't understand why I didn't take the deal. Toronto had offered me the AHL deal, and like you can get out, you can go do. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that sucks.
So, but it was like, I was totally fine with it. You know, at this point, I had already like kind of planned. I had applied to go back to school for firefighting. So then this is the best part of my
Well, the
whole
thing is, though, okay, hold on, I misspoke there. Is
okay.
that when you work so hard, when you give her like you do, when you practice like you do every day, you play the game every day, and I'm sure you're the same at work now. Like you're just a teammate, you're a guy that gives her, and like you being a firefighter now, like it makes perfect sense. I know it took you a while to become one when you did end up going home. And I'm proud of you for becoming one because you'd be a perfect one. You're a perfect teammate that fought, like does everything for the guys he's with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I went back to school, and then so afterwards I ended up like calling Rochester, like so the coach I had in Cincinnati, Chuck Weber, was a coach in Rochester, and he's like, "Hey, I need a player. Like, have you been skating?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've been skating." I hadn't done a thing, so I end up going to Rochester, signing just like an 8 PTO at that point. I played 2 games, I got 2 points, and I retired the next day. I played like a Friday and Saturday, and I'm like, "All right, I'm done." And I retired Monday morning. So I retired a point a game player in the American League after not playing for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months.
So when was it where I had a deal for you in Germany and you turned me down?
So that was probably right after that, like right after I got released from the Marlies, I think.
And and that's when you played 2 games for Rochester?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was going to, because I got into school then starting in January. So, and
Okay,
yeah,
so
like I
you
said,
hadn't even done the schooling yet.
no, I hadn't even done the schooling. I still had a year and a half of schooling
Because
then
I
to
was
do.
trying to get you to become what happened was like we were having a tough start and the coach like needed to sign a guy to like help me out. I'm like, well, I know a guy.
Yeah.
And it was gonna be like the Brandon Dietrich bringing me over. I was
Yeah.
gonna bring you over, and I wanted you to be my centerman to play with me. And we had
Yeah.
never even played together, but I was like, look at what he's doing, and like I know
Yeah.
how hard he works. I know the teammate he is. I know the guy is. I'm like, I want this guy to be my centerman this year. And then you turned me down.
I know. I apologize for that, Wally. Just life at that point kind of got in the way.
No, it's cool.
So,
We got a couple um guys that just passed to each other, and
no,
yeah, it was a tough year that year.
it's hard. It's hard because
Could have
like
been a lot different if you would have said yes, Kyle.
I know. Well, I would have, like I said, that's one thing that we always talk about. I would have loved to go to Europe and play. I don't know if my game was totally suited for the European. I wasn't. I wasn't the skill guy that you probably wanted, but
We'll never know what could have happened, eh,
I
Kyle?
know.
We never know
So
what could have happened. We could have been
that's right.
running that right half wall for the Beatingheim Steelers for the next 15 years, but
That's
you'll never
right.
know.
I know. So it was, like I said, it was in hindsight a good decision. I mean, like I said, my wife's got a
I
great
know
job.
that.
I got a great job, and it just life gets in the way, right? That's the problem when you get older. Like when you start older, I didn't start my pro career till I was 24. It's hard, you know what I mean? Like you basically at 28, I'm like, hey, I kind of need a job. Like I knew I was never gonna make a career playing hockey. I knew I was gonna have to get a job afterwards. And then, like I said, then when you're married and start thinking about kids, you're like, holy shit, now I really need to get a job.
No,
So
you're right though, and you definitely are the latest bloomer we've had on the pod. But like to think of like back in those Sugar King days, like Van Nijenatten said, is you were the one that played the most AHL games. You were the one that came closest to making the NHL. And like when you look back on those junior B teams, like these kids shouldn't give up, man. Like if you can skate, if you can work hard, if like, but like the thing is like you just outworked everybody you played with, and like it happened at St. Lawrence, it happened in the AHL, but like you also found a role, and like and you dominated that role. Like it was like I'm gonna shut you down, and I'm also might mix in a point or two, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We had like one of my coaches at St. Lawrence is like one of my good friends. He was an assistant coach, like a volunteer coach. He played like a bunch of years pro. And like the one thing he told me when I was first starting there, he's like, two things you can control is your attitude and your effort.
Yeah.
So, and those, like, I mean, I tried to show up to the rink and like have a good attitude and everything. Like everything to me there was so cool because it was all new. Like I'd never done all this cool things that maybe some other guys had done. So I was always just so excited to be there and just, yeah, I worked my butt off. And like I said, then got an opportunity, which was, that's a problem with, I think, some of the kids these days. They don't get that opportunity, and it sucks. Like not every kid can get that opportunity, right? Like you only have so many spots on so many teams for the kids to play. But like I said, if you could give everybody, and this is one thing, this is going to sound crazy, but and it's a little bit on a tangent here, but I thought for pro hockey in the American League, it really doesn't matter like winning and losing because they're just developing players to get to the NHL. That's all the NHL cares about at that level.
It has nothing to do with winning or losing the game.
I said they should give every player equal ice time. So for 1 month, you play first line center, first line power play, first line penalty kill, and whatever, and see how good you are. And then
Yeah,
the
but
next,
there's certain guys that play different ways, and
no,
everybody
for sure,
plays hockey based on their personality.
for sure. But
Everybody
I mean,
play. I can list everybody the way they play hockey based on how they podcast with me.
yeah, for sure.
Everybody's different, and it's the same in life. You can't give everybody first line minutes, but the way they make those decisions based out of when you're drafted when you're 17 years old
For sure.
compared to how old when you're 20 years old,
Yeah.
that shit makes no sense. I don't
No.
care how good you were when you were 17, we're 20 now. Why don't we make the
Yeah.
decision based on what's happening now?
Yeah. The thing I found too was like everybody at some point in their career, when you get to the American Hockey League, you've been a first line player on your teams, right? Like
Oh, every time.
everybody
And
knows
I'd
how
always
to.
ran the half wall, and then all of a sudden you're like, so I'm not on the power play, I'm not on the penalty kill, and now I just sit here with the fighter, and you're like, huh,
Yeah,
this is
I
different.
know. I know. So, and I always find it's funny too. Like you look at good role players in the NHL and you look up their stats. Like it's incredible at how good some of these guys that are fourth liners in the NHL, like their junior stats are like 80, 90 points. Like
But it's
I
because
was like,
they were the kind of guys that could stand in front of the net. They were the guys that did what you did. You were
yeah,
just too fucking old.
yeah. So
You didn't figure out your role until you then you left to play. You figured out your role, you left to play golf, then you came back and you found your role, but like even when you found your role, like you didn't get any attention because you weren't scoring 2 points a game or whatever it is.
yeah,
But
no,
like
for sure.
you were still doing what you needed to do, but you're doing it in Elmira, Ontario, which is
Yeah.
kind of different than
Oh yeah. Well, and that was the benefit though. Like, I mean, thank God we had a good team, or else I would have went nowhere. Like, can you imagine being a third line player on a team that doesn't make the playoffs?
you're right. If you're on any other junior B team in that league
Yeah.
and you're the third line center, you're
Yeah.
not going nowhere.
No, exactly. So I was lucky enough to play. What we play 24 playoff games each year, sort of thing. Like, and I mean,
And there's
we made it.
scouts there, yeah.
Yeah, when you make it to the
Wi-
Southern Cup final, there's only 2 teams of junior hockey left in the whole province. So
And people want to know why those teams are winning. And you're
yeah,
like, well, look at this third line shutdown center.
yeah,
Right? And he just shut down Nathan Horton. They won the Southern
yeah,
Cup and he's going golfing.
that's right. So
No, I think it's awesome, but I always was curious what would have happened if you would have accepted my offer in Germany for that year, because the rest of that year really didn't go well. That
yeah,
coach that was hanging on by a straw got fired after he brought in a guy that didn't mesh with me, and it was It could have been me and you, but it wasn't.
I
And
know.
then it all happened.
It's
You know?
funny how like when you talk about like coaches like that, like even like getting back to the Sugar Kings, it's so funny. Like our team didn't really change, but yet they brought in a new coach, and like we all of a sudden were like, okay, this is wicked again.
What
Like,
being at the rink can be fun, or it cannot be fun.
yeah,
And winning is fun. Losing sucks, and it's hard to kind of judge like how to deal with it, right? To get yourself out of it.
yeah.
But like when you're winning, there's just nothing better, right?
No, it's. I mean, winning solves a lot of problems, right? Everybody's getting their piece of the pie, and it's a good like it's contagious, right? Winning is contagious. It just sort of you get that momentum going, and it just sort of follows you around. And like I said, we caught like basically lightning in a bottle there at the right time in playoffs, and I mean we were I think put it this way, we had a way better team our second year, but we didn't get the results because it just didn't happen.
Well, it was game 7. I'm trying to come to terms with it. It was game 7 and we were right there, right?
Yeah.
But like no, like but we were a team, and like everybody on that team, nobody made a dollar. Everybody was there just to be a hockey player and win the game. Like there's so much bullshit that comes into it when people start making money. And that's what I love about watching the World Juniors so much is they're just kids that love hockey that want to win. And like when you get into the other bullshit, it just, you know,
Well, it changes people, right? And it changes the dynamics of the sport because
it changes who gets ice time. It changes who plays more. It changes the power plays. It changes the penalty kills. It changes it changes everything just based on how much money they make.
Yeah, your contract status has a pretty big determination of the success you're going to have that year.
Oh yeah. And they already know that going in. And the coach, that's what's strange about NHL coaches is they're just kind of got to figure out how to deal with all these guys because they already know like if they're making 8 million, they're pretty well on the first power play.
Yeah. So that's where I think like a lot of these good coaches, they're motivators.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
they're good with the guys, and they make them feel good. Yeah,
they find a way to. They're still respected, and they still have to have their tacticians, but they're a motivator. They need to find a way to motivate that $8 million player to, you know what I mean? Maybe he didn't have his best first period, second period, but you need him to score a goal because he's going out there the first power play shift every time, and you need to motivate him to somehow bury one. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, they do. Like, it's incredible what, like, those good players, they have a shit game, and all of a sudden they score with 5 minutes to go. Then they get another one in overtime and they win the game.
Yeah. No,
right?
Yeah.
So,
no, it's, the whole thing is, interesting, but, I find it interesting that you became so good at hockey at a later age, but I was always curious if you would have played AAA at a younger age. And like maybe is that why kids are getting better at younger ages? Is that you do that? Like, and now I got a kid in it, and it's like, well, you do every hockey camp or you do one? It's like it is so confusing.
yeah, I think the big thing is you gotta know your kid, right? If your kid wants to do it,
Oh,
I
he
don't think
wants to do it.
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with letting your kid do it. You know what I mean? He wants to do it.
That's
But
where I'm at.
I also think kids, and this is the problem. Like, I think kids need time off though to do other things. Like, I'm a big believer in if you're gonna play a hockey season, let's go hard for that whole hockey season. 4 or 5 days a week, let's do it. But then come the end of hockey season, let's go play baseball or let's go play golf or lacrosse, or because you learn so many things about yourself. Like, I've learned so many things about myself on the golf course that have translated into hockey that I don't even know is happening at the time. But then when you remove yourself from that situation, you're like, holy shit, man. You know what I mean?
Well, when you were a golfer, you probably would have learned to deal with yourself and your own mental game
Yes.
and everything, right? Where when you're just a hockey guy and you're always in the team atmosphere, you're not really always focused on like what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that like it's so for golf. I mean, there'd be days where I'd be up there like on the range practicing by myself, practicing, and you don't ever like. No one sees that. But then when you get in a tournament, you see the results, and people are like, "Holy shit! How did you just play so good?" You were like, "Well, no one saw me up at the driving range for 4 hours practicing yesterday." You know what I mean? And then, like I said,
You did the same in golf. You did the same in hockey. And
yes. So that's the thing in hockey. So, I mean, I would prepare like for practices. I would like mentally prepare to like if we were doing like a 3-on-2 drill. I mean, this is gonna sound so bush league, but I would like dump it in practice because I didn't want to turn the puck over because I'd see the coach like lose his mind and yell at.
And that's what college hockey was back then. That's what we used to do.
So I mean, it just it was like mental things that you like I made note of, and I didn't forget it. I'm like, holy shit, that guy really got yelled at the other week when he did that. So I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I'm not gonna do that. But then you'd see other guys make like the same mistake like over and over. I'm like, how do you not learn from that, man?
Well, and then you're done. And then the coach is like, well, you don't learn. And that's the same in real jobs. It's the same shit. It's some people can listen and some people can't. And it's like, can you do it or can't you? Because like you're just following the procedure. You're following like this. They told you to do this. Like go do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's I think playing sports, team or individual, they shape you for the rest of your life. I learned so many things on like a sporting field or in a sporting event, tournament, game, practice, whatever, that have helped me in my job, in like being a parent, being a husband. Like, you know what I mean? There's lots of great lessons that you learn about yourself and how you handled situations and maybe what better to do next time, or, you know, what situation was handled in a manner that didn't really work out that well, or maybe what was effective. And so.
No, I totally agree. And like it all of it helps you. Like, and for me, like seeing the world and meeting all these different people that can come on is like, if it wasn't for hockey, none of this is possible, you know, like, crazy.
It's crazy how, like, if you spent a year with someone playing on a hockey team
and your brothers,
like you could make one phone call to that person, be like, dude, I'm in a tough situation. I need help right now. And they wouldn't think twice. They'd be like, yeah, dude, no problem. What do you need? Right. So that's the beauty. I mean, I'm very fortunate, man, to play on some really good teams in Elmira. I have some great friends. Going to St. Lawrence was the best decision of my life. I've made some great friends from there. I still keep in touch with them. I keep in touch with a few guys that I played pro with, not too many, just because I never was in one place long enough to build super relationships with. But
I know how that is.
So.
No, I get it, man. And that's the game. It's like, if you would have came to Germany, maybe we would have been like Branker and Wally for like the next decade. And like, who would have known? Like your kids would have been speaking German. It would have been all weird.
I know.
Like, who knows, right? But like, what I got to say to you before we shut her down is like, you worked for everything you got, man. You got everything you deserve. Your brother's similar. You guys give her. You got it from a great man, Richard. He taught you how to give her, right?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Wally. Like I said, I mean, I never had anything handed to me. And like I said, I told this when we had that chat with the Sugar Kings. My only goal in hockey was to make the Sugar Kings. That was literally my only goal growing up. I thought that was the coolest thing, was to make the Sugar Kings. And then, like I said, you know, I mean, did I have the best career? No, but I got lucky enough to play on some good teams and walked on to St. Lawrence. And that experience changed my life, man. Honest to God, I owe everything that I've ever gotten in my life to the coaches at St. Lawrence. That place changed me. You know what I mean? It just like reinvigorated me that, like, if you go somewhere and you're like a good person and you work hard, you can have success. And that's, honest to God, that's all I did. I just was like, nice to people. I shook their hand. I smiled. I never bagged. I'll admit this. I never bagged one university class. I went to every class. So, and my teachers were great with me. I probably wasn't the smartest student, but I tried hard. I failed some exams, but they let me do extra work to pass. And like I said, it all worked out, man.
No, it's awesome. It really is. And like, it's crazy to think of if you would have, yeah, you would have been you 5 years earlier when you're, you know, you'd be, you'd be still doing her.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a little long in the tooth and a few too many gray hairs now. But like I said, I think honestly, Wally, like don't sell yourself short either. Anyone that plays Division I hockey moves on to pro hockey, you're in the top percentile of people that have ever played hockey. Anybody in the American League can play in the NHL. Are you going to be a star? No, but you're not going to look out of place.
Yeah, and that I had a hard time with it. I had a hard time seeing the guys and like, oh shit, I've seen him on the in on TV. I've seen him, and I just from being from Elmira, and maybe you had the same when you first got there. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm here with these guys.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I talked about it a little bit. Like, when I played on that like rookie team for Pittsburgh, I mean, I'm at the auditorium in Kitchener, 20 minutes from my house. All my family's there. My friends are there watching me play. I'm playing on the ice with like Chris Letang, Alex Goligoski, Ben Lovejoy. You know what I mean? Like Tyler Kennedy, guys that played in the NHL and won Stanley Cups. Like Chris Letang was the star of the World Junior team the year before. And like I'm walking out of the arena with him and like people are asking for autographs. I'm like, what is going on here? So it was a lot to it was overwhelming a little bit. Like it was a lot to process, and I needed to be more like selfish and a little bit more cocky and probably, you know what I mean? Just be a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do know. I know exactly what
you know,
mean.
that's, but
I
that
know
just
exactly what you mean. You needed to, yeah, be in it more for yourself, but
yeah, but that just
it's hard
that
for
wasn't
some
my makeup.
people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So,
I get it. I totally get it. But so anyways, you turned me down in Germany, and basically you worked really hard to become a firefighter. I know you were even out at the grounds crew at our sponsor, the Elmira Golf Club, for a little bit. You even
yeah,
went to the greasy crew and cut some grass, eh?
yeah, man. So yeah, like when I was done playing, it was a struggle. Honestly, I was like, when you work so hard for something and then all of a sudden it's done, I struggled with that like mentally. I kind of lost like my identity a little bit, and I didn't know like
You
I didn't know
don't
who
say.
I didn't know who I was for a little bit. So I went back to that, and that was so at this when I'm going back to fire school, like Roxy was pregnant with McKenzie. So
Captain
I'm
Ronnie, I just opened another one because now we're getting deep.
so I'm in fire school at Conestoga College, cutting grass at the golf course on like evenings and weekends and my days off, right? And I'm
And
sitting
you
in
just
like
had 20 points in the AHL the year before.
just had 20 points in the AHL. I have a university degree. I snuck out of St. Lawrence with a master's in education, and I'm sitting in Conestoga College trying to get like these credits to like get this fire program done, right? So, I mean, yeah, luckily a year and a half went by. I lived off of ramen noodles and white bread, but we got it done. And like I said, then I mean, I took it pretty serious, and I got on the volunteer department in town, and like guys like Roddy Bauman helped me out, and Pat Kelly, and like Pat's dad, Kieran's the chief, and they put in some good words with me like for Waterloo, and I got hired a couple months after I graduated, which was awesome. But yeah, like I struggled for a couple of years there where you're like, hey, I was just playing hockey in the second best league in the world, going to like NHL training camps. Now I'm done. I can't even like get a job. So I'm like, all right, here we go. So yeah, it's pretty like it ends pretty quick. Like you fall off the mountain pretty quick. And like I said, thank God I have good friends, and my wife's an awesome like sounding board. She was a rock through the whole scenario, like situation, and just playing off different scenarios off her.
But
And
you did get in there. You got in there. You
yeah, man.
did it.
So
You
like I
did
said,
it. You did it. And that's every
work hard.
guy I know. There's guys that like say they're gonna be a firefighter, or say they're gonna be a policeman, and then there's guys that like when they talk to you, they're like, I'm gonna be a fireman or I'm gonna be a policeman, and like when they say it to you, they're gonna do it, right?
Yeah. No, that's like I said, I kind of took the same attitude I had when I was playing. I see, you know what I
And
mean?
you
This is
you
what
gave
I
her
want to
there was a
do.
couple years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It took like, I mean, it was like almost 2 years by the time the year and a half schooling. And well, I was done playing, and then I didn't start school. Like I took kind of 6 months off there when you were trying to get me to go to Germany. And then I started school in January. And then, yeah, it was a year and a half, like 3 semesters, and then got hired the following fall when I was done school. So
Yeah, no, man. It was pretty impressive to see you make the decisions you made, because like it's easy to fall into the hockey routine where you're like, I'm just gonna keep giving her. And like you just had 20 points in the AHL. Like, and to shut it down the way you did, I give you credit because you saw the big picture.
yeah, I mean, you just like, it was just reality sort of setting in, right? Like at 28 years old, I knew I was like I said, could I have kept playing for a few more years in the American League? Yes. Could I have went to Europe? I'm sure I could have. But I knew I was never gonna have to, like I was always gonna have to work. I was never gonna be that guy who made enough money to retire from hockey.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
like, do I want to do this at 28 or do I want to do it at 35, 36, right? And
Well, and
at that,
yeah, you had that, you thought of it. Like
yeah.
I was so close that like I didn't realize how far away I was, and then all of a sudden you're that age and you're like, shit, man, I gotta work.
Oh yeah, well, and it happens fast, right? Like all of a sudden you're like, okay, bills are coming in here, kids are on the way, or kids are already here, and you know what I mean? It's a pretty sobering reality. It happens pretty quick, but like I said, I think we've all turned out pretty good, and I mean, I wouldn't change it. I loved the most fun I ever had was playing junior B in Elmira and then going to St. Lawrence. I mean, those were like 7 of the best years of my life. I don't think I would never tell anyone to not do it. You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah.
it's such a cool experience. Even if you have like, and nothing against the OHL, if you have an opportunity to go do whatever you can do at the highest level you can do it. And like I said, you can always fall back on something else. But like I said, you got to put yourself in those situations because you're going to meet some cool people. You're going to find out some information about yourself, good or bad. You know what I mean? You put yourself in those, I always call them, like, you got to get comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So it's pretty cool. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
change it in the world.
no, I agree. I just looked at the time. Have we been going that long?
Yeah, man, we're really putting in the
Jeepers.
shift here.
Holy shit. All right. Well then, all I gotta say to you then before I shut this down is I could have learned a thing or two from your work ethic back in the day. I got her now. It took me some time. It took me some time to get some hair on my chest and become a man and figure it out. But like now I can't sit down. I can't not work. But like when we were 17, 18, you worked harder than me and you did. And your career shows that.
Yeah, well, I think we all kind of learned from each other, Wally. We had a pretty special group there that we kind of pushed everyone. And like I said, you were the guy that was like, we all learned from you. You were the guy out there scoring the goals with like, the last minute of play or, the first goal of the game or I mean, everybody on the other team was trying to, I always say this, it's easier to like just check a player than it is to like be the guy who's got to score the goals. And that was always you. So we had a good,
Wow.
good group of guys. I think we kind of pushed everyone and everyone learned off everyone. And that's probably why I became such a good checker because I had to practice against you for 3 years.
Well, think about the memories we created for the town of Elmira and the people who used to watch us, and like for ourselves, like It was the best time of our lives, man. We were 17, 18, and we were rocking and rolling, right?
I remember the first time I took my kids to the Sugar King game, and she was playing on, like, I don't know, she was 6 years old, her first year hockey. They give her a tour of the dressing room, and she like saw my picture on the wall. She's like, "Dad, that's you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." She's like, "That doesn't look like you. You look way too young." And I'm like,
No.
"Well, that was how your dad looked back when he was 18 years old." So
Yeah, it's
but
pretty cool to look back on these things, and that's why I do this. And I gotta say, it's too late.
I know.
This has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Ranker and Wally.